I had my mute on. Hey, YouTubers and friends, thank you for joining us tonight. YouTube's obviously being hit really hard. We're on prime time, as you know. Might have to think about a different time slot. But if you're experiencing buffering, I'm sure you are, please bear with us. Hopefully we can get it cleaned up. We have not only Timothy Draper and Todd Anderson with us from Treasures in America. We have most of the treasure hunting crew with us tonight. Also, my two prospecting friends and co-hosts, Toledo Jess and Dano the Mano. So I look forward to a really good show, so don't go away. We'll be right back.
Tuesday Night Hangout Live is a classic overhead production.
All right, thanks for joining with us. And YouTube, get on the ball. Green, orange, red, gee whiz. Jesse, Dano, we might have to think about a different time slot when everyone in the whole USA isn't hammering YouTube. Because I just put in more RAM, so it ain't my RAM.
Right.
You know, and I'm hardwired in. I know it's on their side. I know.
Yeah, I'm just now finally coming on. I mean, I think you're going to be starting seeing us here in a minute.
They might be able to.
Yeah, the intro's playing right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it is what it is.
We can't even blame Murphy on this one. I would blame YouTube itself. I don't think Murphy had anything to do with it tonight.
Well, I did have my mute on momentarily.
But that's you.
Yeah,
that's not Murphy. That's you.
That's Ed's blonde moments. Right,
yeah.
Right.
So far we got like 28 people in here right now. We got Thomas Folks.
We only got 12 likes. Get that thumbs up going.
Thumbs up.
Spike, Little John, Wendy, and Patrick.
I saw Wendy and Patrick in here.
David Villa's with us.
Yeah. And don't forget the Hook.
Oh yeah, the Hookers.
And Ronald from Radio hanging out with us tonight. That's
right.
Cool.
Oh, we have our
Tazzy Adventures.
Hey Brad, thanks for coming.
Jersey Hunt.
Yep. Jersey History Hunters.
Yeah.
There's Scotty Tony just showed up.
Luke Duke.
Cool. And our buddy John Wolf. And we mustn't forget the world's greatest moderator.
That's right.
Mr. Lowback. How's it going, Jaron?
But there's no gold in Utah. Just remember that.
Yeah, no gold in Utah.
No gold, no hidden treasure, nothing in Utah. And there's no glacial gold in Ohio or Indiana. We have Glenn and Maureen here from Cabin Life. Thanks for stopping in. And I'm just trying to play with what little I can do on my end to get things rolling. And Joshua, Prospector Josh is here.
Yeah, Prospector Josh.
Prospector Josh is in
the house.
Excellent. Thank you all for joining us tonight. If you're not yet a subscriber and part of the Flash in Your Pan family, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. And we love to have you part of our family here at Flash in Your Pan and Tuesday Night Hangout Live. I got a package in the mail today.
You did?
Yeah, from Gold Grabber High Bankers.
Ah, cool.
We got a Gold Grabber 2 mini high banker, compliments of Jack Tucker of Gold Grabber High Bankers. Can't wait to play with it. I
was just going to ask you, is that something we're going to play with, or? Well,
that we'll have to discuss
I'll sure try
sometime
it
with the three of us together. And it was donated to Take a Vet Prospecting Project. So
cool.
we'll decide what we want to do. We either as a fundraiser, you know, or use it when we have veterans out in the field with us. That we can discuss later.
Okay, sounds good. I like that. I like people that when they donate to our project here, because it is a cool project.
Yeah, and I have some good visions and goals for it.
Me too.
I know you do, buddy. I know you do. You want
to help said to the moon, Alice.
Hello, Justin Witt.
Hey, Justin Witt.
No gold in Connecticut,
no gold
he says.
That's what he says.
No, I hear there's some good.
Well, let's go. We should go there then.
Yeah, if there's no gold there, we should hit up No Tellin' Creek somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, Adam, how you doing, buddy? You just popped in.
There's Adam.
Hey, Adam. Pardon me, the better half just brought me a mocha.
Definitely the better half.
You know me well. You know me well. Okay, everybody. First off, you said you had something to talk about, Jesse?
Well, I saw this article today, and I want to.
You want to talk with the boys about that?
Well,
right?
I do, but I want to just read it to everybody. Then we'll get, because I think what we'll do is I'll let them maybe fill in some of these blanks.
Do you want me to do what we talked about? Just get the commercials out of the way?
Yeah, you know what? Good idea. Let's do that.
All right, everybody. This week, since we're sure to have some good talks and we have a limited time with our guest tonight, we're going to get all the commercials out of the way and we'll go from there. So right now, let's hear from a few of our sponsors.
Adventure, mystery, discovery. Gold panning is more than a search for beautiful rocks. Panning is a journey that can take you to amazing new places all around the world. It is an experience for all ages, bringing families closer together and fulfilling a spark of excitement when life has grown too dull. The Gold Claw Pan makes it easier to take part in the journey than ever before. This expertly designed pan is made for any skill level and any age. All you need is an explorer's heart and the passion for discovery. Begin your family's gold story now. Order your Claw Pan today and see where the adventure takes you.
Hey,
this is Michael from iPanforGold.com. You know, I love to receive emails and photos of the gold my friends recover from our painter, and they're not too shy to tell me about it either. Just check out some of the reviews, photos, and even videos that they have posted on our Facebook page. In fact, here are some of my not-so-shy friends now.
I'm Aaron, and I pan for gold.
I'm Caleb, and I pan for gold.
I'm Ed Martin, and I pan for gold.
I'm Erica, and I pan for gold.
I'm James, and I pan for gold.
I'm Darren, and I pan for gold.
I am John, and I pan for gold.
I'm Mark, and I pan for gold.
I'm Tony, and I pan for gold.
This is Rob from Nashville, and I pan for gold.
Be sure and check our Facebook page and website for the latest offers, blog articles, and videos. What's in your pan? I hope it's pay dirt from ipanforgold.com.
All right. Well, it's kind of nice to get those done and taken care of, like, right off the bat.
You got to worry about it anymore. And when I remind you. Hey, Chris from East Coast Prospectors just showed up. How you doing, Chris?
Yeah, and Debbie Reynolds came in, and
Debbie Reynolds,
Gold Fever Radio, our buddy Jack Tucker, who,
of course, our old buddy Thomas,
the owner of Gold Grabber High Banker. Thank you. And
so, did you say you saw Debbie Reynolds? Oh yeah, there she is. Debbie Reynolds owns a we used to call them hippie shops, or places like that. She did a head shop, yeah. She did body piercings and sells oils and stuff and lots of old hippie shit or stuff. I'm sorry. Beep, 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 beep. But anyways, I wanted to give her a shout out today. I got some CBD oils from her.
Oh, cool. Welcome, Debbie.
We started talking about prospecting, and her husband really wants to get into it. Started talking about metal detecting. They want to get into it, so that's really cool. I told her, come in, check out tonight's show. We got some really cool guys with us tonight, so I'm sure she'll enjoy it. And it's Deb's Body Piercing, I think is the name of it, in Toledo, Ohio. So if you're close by,
you're gonna get your tongue pierced now, Jesse.
Yeah, I'm gonna get these, big gauges tonight.
Your nipples.
Get some pins and oh yeah, my nipples. Gotta get them done. What else? Through my tongue, bone through my nose or something.
There you go.
Ooh, you know what? Oh, you know what'd be cool? Have an arrow sticking through my shoulder or something.
Oh yeah, that here. Come on over. I'll take care of that for you.
No, I can do that. Anyways, I hope you enjoy our show tonight, Debbie.
Thanks for joining us.
And Deb's husband, if you're there.
And you'll have to come along with Jesse sometime, and we'll help you find some of that gold that's not in Ohio.
Oh yeah, she got a kick out of my nuggets.
Yeah.
That didn't sound far out there.
Yeah.
So I
kind of too. You could have probably said that different, but
what?
Got a kick out of your nuggets?
Well, she did. I showed her, my gold nuggets, and
which one? Dirty Bird and
Dirty Bird and the horny nugget, right?
Yeah, they're quite some nuggets.
Yes, they are.
Well, what do you say we bring in our guests?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Deb's Body Jewelry and More in Northwood, Ohio.
There you go, everybody.
Yeah, bring our guests in. Let's talk to them. Nobody wants to hear our crap.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, we have the gentleman from Treasures in America, based out of somewhere deep in the mountains of Utah, I believe. And there's no gold in Utah or treasure.
Done.
And don't even look on the Mormon chapel. It ain't there no more. It's none zip gone. We have Okay, let me bring up my Skype so I can do this. We have Todd Anderson, Timothy Draper, Stephen Schaefer. Okay, I'm gonna butcher this one. Sean Fotheringham.
Just like it looks.
Fotheringham. And we have Antonio Mendez, may be related to Toledo Jesse Mendez. Don't know, it's a small world. Welcome, gentlemen. How are you tonight?
Good. Thanks for having us.
Good.
So Tim, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what you guys do, and then introduce your friends and your team, and give us a little history about what you guys do and who you are, and the regular stuff.
Just the regular stuff, nothing more than that. No, just kidding.
well, just the stuff that you can put on air.
Yeah. So
just the legal stuff.
Yeah, things that won't embarrass you later.
I'll try to keep that up. So I'm Timothy Draper. I'm the president of Treasures in America. Started this about 3 years ago. I'm going to kind of let the guys introduce themselves too, if you don't mind. But
no, that's great.
We started off about 3 years ago. We are a treasure hunting team. When I decided to start this team, I've been out in the field by myself for a long time. Stephen Schaefer is a good friend of mine now for many years. He's also my mentor. But we lived in different parts. He's up in northern Utah. I was down here in southern Utah. And that's when I realized that I had so much work and there was no way I was going to be able to do it all by myself. So I created a team. And when I decided to create this team, I was looking for not just anybody. I wanted to find guys that had different, let's say different, sorry, I had a brain fart. Different abilities, different things that they're really good at. And so I ended up finding a climber. I found a guy who can reach out and speak Spanish and read Spanish maps. Of course, we got Steve, my mentor. He's been doing this for 50 years. We got Todd, who's been metal detecting and prospecting for 30 years. But yeah, so I was able to create this group, put us together and get us organized and start going after all these treasures that, we've all read about ever since, we were younger. And, Treasures in America, we have a lot of data. We have a lot of information. We have many, many years that go back, a couple hundred years of history and evidence that we have that we're looking for. But Steve, let's go ahead and start with you, and let's just go down the line and just tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Steve, you there?
I think he's still muted. You're still on mute.
No. that happens a lot.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, well, I started when I was about 16 years old, when I lived out on the reservation, Ute Reservation, for a little while, when I discovered a Spanish cannon. And that's what really got me started. And after I got back out of Vietnam and came back, I began full-time looking for ancient mines and treasures that had anything to do with the Spanish in Utah. Of course, there was no Spanish in Utah hunting that had gold mines and treasures, of course, but, we proved them wrong several times. But make a long story short, I spent a great deal of time with my partner, Gail Rhodes, who was from the Lost Roads mine fame. And between him and I, we made several great discoveries on lost Spanish mines, hidden mines, and a few little caches here and there. And I spent a great deal of time researching out Spanish signs and symbols and learning how to read them through my Ute Indian friends who had been taught by them, by the older Indians, how to read signs and symbols. And so that was a great plus on my part, because then I could actually go out and research these symbols and maps and stuff and prove them whether they were right or wrong. During my course of these years, I met a lot of great people. I met a lot of scoundrels too. But I also ventured and I went back to school, got my degree in archaeology, which helped me immensely. And I've written 7 books mostly on mines and treasures and Spanish symbols. a few books I've written on ancient America, ancient treasures in America that have nothing to do with Spanish. But we found out with our research that the Spanish were actually coming up trying to find these ancient mines and treasures, these ancient treasure sites that they knew about that were hit up by ancient people that inhabited the West in North America. So that's where we're at. And I met Tim, and him and I hit it off right away. And we got a great group, a very intelligent man that he's got to surround himself. And everybody's got a great personality, and they all have something to offer to this team. And one thing I've learned that these people are all open-minded. We're the type of people that if you tell us something, we're not going to say, well, you're crazy. That never happened. We're open-minded enough to say, well, let's look at this. Let's see if that could have happened. And so it's important to be an open-minded person when you're in this game. And also, you got to be aware too, because there's so many scoundrels out there, so many people out there to take you. Every time you turn around, there's so much greed and hate. Gold does funny things to people. And so I've always tried to keep my mind open. I've always tried to make sure I'm surrounded with real good people that are not greedy, that are very, very honest and true. And I'll tell you what, that's a tough thing to find. It really is today. And so, make a long story short, I've been doing this for, well, actually when I got out of the service, and so I was about 22, and I'm 71, so that tells you how long I've been doing this. I've made some fantastic discoveries. I found ancient tablets. I found gold. I found many ancient things, and best of all, though, I've made some excellent friends, and that's with all the gold in China. So that's that in a nutshell.
That was really good, Steve.
Yeah, that was really good. And before you go any further, Steve, welcome home, brother.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Definitely welcome home.
Well, Sean, let's have you go next. You get to go right after Mr. Schaefer. So go ahead, just kind of tell them who you are, what you do, and we'll keep
I
going
guess that would kind of be the order that it went down. Tim and Steve have been working together for quite a long time. Steve is a mentor of Tim's, and I've known Tim for a little over 4 years now, and I actually worked with him, still work with him in our 9-to-5 job, and it had been maybe 6 months into it before he actually started opening up about, his passions, what he likes to do. And I had no idea that he's a treasure hunter, and I'm a skeptic. And so the first thing that went through my mind was, right, really? Okay, you're a treasure hunter.
Sure.
And, the more that he started talking to me, the more he opened up. He started showing me some of the things he had found, started telling me some of the stories. And I mean, Tim, he's got stories that, he'll probably take to his grave that he can't remember all of them and can't share all of them with us. But, I'm sure Steve is even more so. But he kind of approached me and he said, hey, look, there's some times where I get to a spot and I'm not really the best rappeller and I don't really know how to climb and I need a climber. Would you be interested? And at the time, I had done some free climbing, some bouldering, some messing around, but I wasn't really that good. I didn't really know my knots or know my thing, but it was something that I wanted to do, something that I had always had on my bucket list. And so I was like, all right, sure. I'll take some classes. I'll get, brushed up on how to do this, how to do it right. And that's the thing. It's Treasures in America. We love going out there after these stories. We love seeing what we can dig up, what we can find, who we can talk to, the juicy, nitty-gritty history that we can dig up. But the biggest thing is just getting out there, finding your adventure. And if we can motivate some people along the way, like Tim motivated me, then so be it, And so that's kind of where I fit in. I also help, I help Tim, the team. I help the guys get to those hard-to-reach places. Antonio, with his big, long skill set, the other thing that he helps me with is he's my my climbing partner. And then I also help Tim with the business end of it wherever I can. So that's where I come in.
That was good. Good, Sean.
Yep.
Okay, so let's go down the road. Todd, let's put you next. You still there?
I'm still here.
Okay, go ahead and tell everybody who you are, what you do, and.
I'm Todd Anderson. I've been treasure hunting, metal detecting about 30 years now.
That's all?
53, no, about 40. About 40 years. I started out, hearing stories and thought, I'll go find these. I should be easy, and started researching and bought me a metal detector and started going out and looking for different things. And when I wasn't looking for treasures, I would go do some metal detecting around the town or, different places. And then I got interested in mining and started researching old mining camps and treasure hunting there. And when I wasn't panning or running a sluice or whatever. And so since I started, I've had several mining claims throughout the West here, and I've gone through several detectors and just enjoy getting out. And if I can't do one thing, I've got several other things I can do, and I just have a good time getting out. With Treasures in America, I started talking to Tim. I lived up in northern Utah. He lived down in southern Utah, and we're about 450 miles apart. And we had talked back and forth a little bit, but I was planning on moving down to St. George. And when he heard that, we got together, and that's where I got in with Treasures in America, is when I moved down to southern Utah, and we started. He had already got a few people together, and we started heading out and looking for things.
That was good. Yeah.
I think you're done, Tim.
Oh, good, Todd. Thanks for doing that. So far, so good, guys. You guys are doing good. Antonio, next one. Let's have you do. Explain to us who you are and what you do.
Okay, Tim. Good night, everybody. So I'm Antonio Mendez. I'm born in Mexico City. I went to school for the beginning of my life down there. So all the history, because where I come from, there is a lot of history, pre-Columbian history, colonism history. So I'm always been intrigued with all the history we have everywhere, not only in Mexico, in the whole continent. Here, 3 years ago, well, we've been friends with Sean. I met him at work. I'm one of the contractors where he works. Then Tim came up on board to work with Sean, so I met him. So we just talk just briefly until I went down to Mexico on a vacation. I brought some pictures of Mayan ruins. So I showed him to him, and he was like, "Wow, those are cool ruins and Chichen Itza, all those history that I'm really in. I don't know. I like history." So that's the way we start talking, and he started telling me about the treasure hunting thing, and we go like, "Oh, I never thought I could fit in here, honestly." So I was just like telling my staff, and we start getting involved on everything. Like, and suddenly he invited me to be part of the team. So I kind of couldn't believe it, because I go like, what I can do for but he knows that I'm have experience on digging, moving dirt, a lot of safety precaution issues that we on the digging, on the climbing. I told him, he told me that Sean or he was a professional climber. So I go like, oh, I would like to participate with him. And so suddenly we started getting involved with each other, and we start planning some going south. So that's the way we start going on with the team, and we got involved, and now we are this part of my other family is besides my family. Now this is my other family, because whenever we go out, we take care of each other and we look after each other. So we have to be like more than a team, like really family, a real family, to take care of each other. So I'm so glad I'm part of the team, and so wherever we go, or whatever team or some other of the teams want to go, and I want to take him down to Mexico. Honestly, that's my one of my plans, to take him down, show him what was down there, because I'm going back and forth. I like to go back and visit and see everything I like, all my history. So knowing that Aztecs came from Northern America, so I'm kind of the same, back and forth going. I feel I'm still in my homeland, and I don't feel strange here. And even I'm Mexican born. I'm in general American. I'm feel American, all general, and I feel home. I like. I don't see any colors, and I don't think they see me different. As nobody has to be different. So
right.
I don't know. That's that's in general.
Antonio, you just made me all warm and fuzzy inside. That was beautiful. So I mean, don't let this guy fool you. He one thing he forgot to mention. You know, he's a pretty humble guy, but he's got tons of years of experience moving dirt, and I'm talking heavy equipment. This guy can operate, just about anything that you can think of. He can operate it, and anything that breaks down. If you got crazy glue and baking soda and a paper clip, you're good. He's gonna fix it. I mean, the guy's the Mexican MacGyver. It's unreal, and he's gotten us out of more binds than I can imagine. So it's good to have Antonio around. It's good to have Todd, Steve, Tim. You know, he's just a natural-born leader. He puts guys together. I knew Antonio in a work capacity for almost 10 years. That's a long time to know and work with somebody. And Tim thought, hey, let's bring him on the team. And I was like, oh, I don't know. You know, there's been times where I've had to bark at him and tell him to get a job done. And, you know, the same thing with Dave. He was our plumber. And so I never would have thought that we'd come together the way we did. And I never thought that we'd be friends, let alone family. But that's just the kind of infectious personality that Tim has. He's able to bring people together. And it's just really crazy the way that we were all able to mesh and just come together like a family, like Antonio said. It's been wild.
Yeah, that's cool.
One thing I'd like to add, one thing you want to add here is that Antonio sleeps very well in trees, by the way.
Tim, you have other members also, don't you? You have more than just these guys, correct?
We do. There's two other. Well, actually, there's more than two.
I just wanna say something that I can sleep everywhere. So if I'm not moving, I just start feeling dizzy. And,
it's like a shark. He's not moving. He's going to die.
Sean, how many times have we been driving down the road for only 5 minutes and Antonio's already snoring?
It's ridiculous. I wish I had that man's gift. He could sleep anywhere.
Yeah. So anyways, to get back to your question, we are missing a couple guys tonight. We're actually missing a few people. There are behind the scenes people. Treasures in America is larger than what you see us post on Facebook, social media, YouTube. You also got my wife that's doing a whole bunch of work in the background. But yeah, we got Dave Graham. He couldn't make it tonight. He is our scuba diver. He's been doing it for many, many years. And then you also got Ryan, who is not here. He wasn't able to make it as well. And he does a lot of different things. He's a tech savvy kind of guy. It doesn't matter if we're 10,000 feet up in the middle of nowhere in elevation. He can get out the computer. He can get out the cameras. You know, he's really good at that kind of stuff. And then you got my wife who's doing all the research. And there's also a few other people that are working in the background too, off the camera, I guess you can say. So this is actually quite a large team. And I do want to say these guys all wear many hats. You don't have just Steve with his 50 years of Spanish and ancient civilization, treasure hunting and historical stuff. And Sean, you know, it's not just climbing. There's been a lot of things with Sean to where, you know, we've been able to unlock things and get to places that we want to be able to go. Antonio, he can, like what Sean said, he can fix anything. This whole team together makes what I call the one, you know, it's an elite team. It really is. Yes, maybe there might be some groups that have a few more years experience with something, but if you put all of us together, there's really no stopping us. There's nothing that we can't do. And that's for sure. You know, you got Antonio who's talking to people down in Mexico as we speak right now, gaining information on Spanish maps, stuff that people don't have. You know, you got Steve who has all these years and all these connections that are putting things together for us and stuff like that and helping us move forward on not just, I mean, yes, it's fun. We are a family and we have a lot of fun, but we're not just out there just kicking around trees and hiking around. That's what I did many years ago. With this team, we're actually finding real lost history. We're finding real archaeological type things.
Cool. Now you're a scuba diver. What was his name again?
Dave.
I watched the interview that he did that you posted a while back. What an inspirational dude. I bet he's just a pleasure to have around. Really helps you out spiritually, I guess.
Dave's a really good guy to have around.
Dave's great to have.
You know, he's not only got his years of scuba diving, but he actually acquired those years while he was serving as a private contractor for the military. So not only has he got his military experience, the guy's he's seen so much of life. He's seen so much of death. He's seen just, you know, things that we could possibly imagine. He's got a lot of years experience as a wildlife instructor and survivalist. I mean, he's just a good guy to have around. He's great personality, you know, wicked sense of humor. And I mean, everybody just has a perfect spot to play in this team. And, you know, it always feels like something's missing whenever we go out and it's just the four of us or it's just the three of us. And we got, you know, when we got the whole team, it's something else.
Yeah. Like I said, I saw the interview that he did, and he inspired me just watching his video. You know, just talking. You know, so I'm thinking, wow, what a great guy to have, especially out there doing what you're doing, especially like climbing up that side of that mountain, going, oh man, and he's telling you, come on, you can do it, You know, it was
I mean. That guy, you know, he can carry his demons and he can carry his injuries, and you would never know that he's injured or he's in pain. He's the last person to complain. If we're in a tight spot and his gun isn't working, and this happened last time where his gun was jamming, wasn't working. We ran into a cougar in the middle of a mine. We were scared to death. I handed my gun to him. I'm like, Dave, here, you take it.
Yeah. That was a pretty interesting story.
So I saw, Tim, on your Facebook that you just signed some kind of contract. I know you can't get into a whole lot about it, but is that's something that looks like it's going to be a lot of fun? Can I ask you, is it going to be in this country or somewhere else?
As far as I know, it is going to be in this country. Like what you said, there's really not much we can say. This contract is maybe what, Sean, a week old, I think.
Yeah, it's too fresh to tell right now, but you know, we're definitely not allowed to talk about it. But it's something that's really exciting. So
something to look forward to for us, anyways.
I can tell you, I can't tell you which network we're going to be working with. I can't even tell you which producer we just signed with. And I can't fully rule out, I can tell you this, I can't fully rule out just North America, because there are sites that we have been working on in Mexico, Brazil, Ecuador. There's a few of them, and I do know that they're interested in that too. So we're tossing around story ideas and stuff like that as we speak right now, and we're going to try to pick what we think is not only exciting to the team, but what also we think that the audience would like to see too, you know. So I can tell you also that it will be under the treasure hunting / mystery type TV show.
Cool. That's
excellent.
That's cool. So we were talking earlier, and I mentioned to you, because I really want to hear some of these stories about getting the government involved in your findings.
Don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it. Because I found an article today, a pair of Pennsylvania treasure hunters and their lawyer are accusing the FBI of playing games and acting suspiciously about a dig at a rural site believed to contain massive stash of Civil War era gold, which may be worth up to $250 million. So supposedly these guys found this hidden treasure, this hidden stash of Confederate gold, not obviously not thinking and why they would get a hold of the FBI, first of all, let alone tell anybody, but why they would get a hold of the FBI and expect not to. I can imagine that happens often, not necessarily with the FBI, but with just government in general. That's a question that we get around here. You know, we talk amongst ourselves about, well, if we ever found that 10-pound nugget, who are you going to tell? I'm not telling anybody. You know? So, have you ever had anybody come to you about something like, hey, you know, you can't have that because
Let me tell you a story here, if I can.
Sure.
When I owned the Lost Josephine mine up on Hoyt Peak, Gail Rhodes and I was metal detecting the old tunnel, and I found a 10-pound gold bar, Spanish gold bar, and I took it out, and unfortunately I sold it. But I'd never do that again. But I sold it. But the government got wind of that. And somebody had told them that I'd had the bar and that I'd sold it. So they sent me a letter from the Department of Interior with a contract. And they wanted to know everything there was about that gold bar and how I got it and where it was. And I disavowed any knowledge of any gold bar. But they had this contract they wanted me to sign that said that anything that was found in any mine, anywhere in the UNS, in the mountains or in the forest or the BLM, and it was older than 50 years old, it belonged to the federal government, and anything that they deemed that ought to belong to the government, they wanted me to sign that document. Anything they deemed ought to belong to the government. So I drew a big finger and I sent it. And there's many stories like that, you know. Yeah, there was a young man out in our West Desert. Our West Desert's a lot of country out there, and he found a cave that had armor in it, had strong box in it, had Wells Fargo gold in it. Now, according to him, he said it had a stamp from the U.S. Cavalry. Well, first of all, that didn't happen because the cavalry didn't stamp gold. But anyway, what he did is he went to the Forest Service and told him he had found it, and he wanted a percentage of it. Now, most of you guys in our team already know this story. Well, they said, no, we're not going to give you a percentage of it. We want it all, and you're going to take us to it right now, or we're throwing you in prison. Well, he never took them. And so they watched his house for at least a year daily, waiting for him to go to the desert to get that gold out of that cave. And it's still there. He just had to forget about it. He finally said, well, I was mistaken. It never happened. I didn't really find it. And I don't know if they're still watching him or not. But this is the type of thing you have to do. You got to be careful who you talk to. And so as far as I know, it's still in the desert in that cave. And I've heard other stories about people finding something and getting the government involved. And of course, they lose it immediately. And if you don't give it up, you go to jail. That's just the way it is.
Well, that just happened not too long ago, too, out in California, where the people had found those jars of silver dollars.
Uh-huh.
I thought those were like gold eagles. Those
right. They were right. They were gold
eagles.
The gold eagles, right? A whole jar of them. And
yeah.
I don't know. Did they get those taken away, or did they finally get them? Or
I think they lost all of them.
Didn't they? Don't say nothing.
But just remember this: anything you find, it comes off private property, right out of your backyard. Doesn't matter if it did or didn't. That's where it comes from.
No, okay.
Yeah, man.
If it isn't the government after it, it's going to be some insurance company after it.
Yeah, if they can't take it away from you, they're going to tax you for it.
And let me tell you another story, if I may.
Sure.
I had a friend of mine named Jimmy Redhouse, who was a full-blooded Navajo, and when his grandfather died, Jimmy's sister went through all his stuff and found all these different maps. And there was one particular map that showed where it was a Spanish map, and it showed where this cache was supposed to be buried in northern Utah in our Uinta Mountains, which are a huge mountain range. And he gave me that map, one of several maps he gave me. And so I went up. Jimmy didn't know the area, but I did. So I went up several times trying to locate this Spanish cache. I never found it. Well, one day, and I'm going to use this guy's name because I don't like him very well. This guy from Roosevelt by the name of Kenny Buys was taking scouts up this canyon that I used to prospect up, and he says, "Do you know anything up there that I might be able to look for that, I might find, and when I take my scouts up that canyon?" I said, "Yeah." You can look for these 500 bars of gold. They're little finger bars, I said, "There's 500 of them according to the Spanish map." I says, "Now, if you find them, let me know." I says, "I'll be glad to split them with you. If you find them, then of course you get the majority of them, but at least I'd like some of them, And I said, "Don't tell anybody if you find them, whatever you do." Well, my wife gets a phone call about a week later from Kenny's wife. She says, "Bonnie, I'm just calling to tell you thank you. Kenny found that stash of gold, and we just want to thank you guys for that map and telling us where it was." Well, instead of contacting me, Kenny gets a hold of a undercover marshal that he didn't know anything about by going through different chains of people, and he ended up he lost all 500 bars when he tried to sell the gold bars to this agent. And Kenny went to jail for stealing gold off the forest and lost everything.
Wow.
So there you go. Wow. We both lost out on that one.
Yeah.
Private property. Yeah. Private property.
Private property.
Feel that in your head.
Private property.
Loose lips sink
Keep it going.
ships.
So that was what you just said, kind of usually, like me anyways, when you say a bar of gold, I think of your typical, what you see in Fort Knox bar of gold.
Oh,
well,
no.
You were talking about, right, you're talking about finger pieces, bars that are the size of a finger, correct?
Well, the thing is, you got to remember that most of those gold bars were roughly poured in sand molds. Sometimes they'd make a mold out of a tree, anything to pour a mold. And a lot of them are small because they had to carry them. And they had to carry them. And 90% of them were a Dure bar. Actually, they had a lot of different mineral in them. Weren't pure gold. They had copper, silver, those types of bars. But they didn't get them refined until they either got to Mexico or somewhere where they had a refinery. And so most of them are Dury bar.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, down by Mexico City, Steve, I don't know how true this is, but I've been finding evidence that they had massive smelters down by the ports and stuff like that. And just like what you said, all that gold and silver and everything that came down there, that's where they were refining it before it went on the ship, before they started counting how many gold bars, how many silver bars, things like that, that went back to Spain.
Yeah, there wasn't if there might have been a few mills and refineries up this far, but if there were, they're very far and few between, because most all the bars that I've ever seen were knuckle bars or finger bars, like the size of your finger.
Yeah.
They'd press your finger into the sand and they pour that bar. I have a few of them in my vault, and they're very. You boys have seen them, and
we haven't seen them.
And we like treasure porn. we love treasure porn.
So do they. All of them out there.
Remember that whole FBI thing? Don't tell anybody.
Don't show it either, right?
That's what I made these bars myself. So there you go.
Exactly. There you go.
So didn't the Spaniards, when they were up here or up north mining and stuff, didn't they make smelters or area? Didn't they smelt their gold down so that they could carry it back right there at the mine?
Yeah, they had rock smelters, and they would go in and they'd smelt the gold and get it down to a small enough weight where they could carry it, haul it out on pack mules or donkeys. They had what they call either a carga or cargo. A cargo was a nautical term, and a cargo was a land term, and one was 120 pounds and one was 110 pounds, and so that's how they'd carry them out, Wow, okay. And they had some places that they called depositories, that they'd take a lot of their silver and gold and whatnot and bury them along the route, then come back later. And even today, some of those depositories are still out there along the old Spanish Trail, not only in Utah, but New Mexico, Arizona, in Mexico itself. So they're still around, and they've been forgotten about or lost, or they're overgrown, covered up. Who knows?
Right, the terrain changes and everything.
Right, with our new technology like LiDAR and different things like that, and our drones that we have now, we can get above a lot of those things, a lot of those places now, and see things we never could see before.
Right.
And
so LiDAR, LiDAR has really been coming in.
Right, and it's a great tool for archaeology, which I use it for a lot. To identify ancient dwellings and trails. You can see ancient trails that you can never see unless you had LiDAR or a drone. You know what I mean? Just can't see it.
Right.
And so, it's amazing tools that are coming out today, and the prospector and the treasure hunter and the archaeologist and everybody are starting to use those tools. And I know they're a little pricey, but that's today's technology. You gotta be willing to pay the rent in order to have the good house, if you know what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, same with that GPR on the drone. The LiDAR on the drone, all that's big time type, very useful tools that would help out. I've been thinking you have a LiDAR to scan the surface, go through the vegetation, and then you have a GPR in that same drone, or maybe another drone. That right there, you pretty much got everything you need when it comes to that. And like what Steve said, just having a drone alone, which, we got, 3 in this team right now? Having a drone alone, it's surprising how you can see things from up in the air. It wasn't too long ago I took out my drone. Steve, you know about this place, and so do you, Sean, over here in Utah, not too far away from us, where I found that smelter a few years ago. And I was surprised. As soon as I got that drone up in the air above it, I was see it very clearly. And so these drones, just even without LiDAR and GPR, you can it's a very useful tool.
Yeah, the fact that it actually saves you time, where you don't have to walk every little bit of the property you're looking at. You can take a drone and get it up there and find what you can't see on the ground.
Yep. Right. We just used a drone here not too long ago. My wife bought me a new drone, by the way, So I owe her my life. But, I had a friend of mine that had a Phantom 4, and I took him out on a site where there's a lot of rock cairns and where you have to hike miles and miles and miles. We flew that, and it was amazing what we could see along that cairn route, those monument route. And you could see the well-worn trails that were going in and out around those monuments that I could never see on the ground, walking them. And so we've learned how to identify some of those markers on the ground, which are so important. Geoglyphs, in fact, a lot of ancient people, not just Spaniards, put geoglyphs on the ground. That's markers on the ground that blend right in. And and they're hard to see. You got to know where to look to find them. But with this new technology, these drones, man, you can pick it right up. You can see if you know where you're looking for, and they're great tools. They just really are. I can't tell you how important they are now for our type of work.
Yeah, Tim and I have, I think we've talked about it with most of the team. There's a spot that we wanted to bring the team out and scout for, and it's just extremely difficult to get to, and it can be done. We can get to it, but it's dangerous, possibly life-threatening, in some situations, and it's just not worth it unless we can take that drone down, scout it out, and get some confirmation that, yeah, we're not risking our lives, or we're not going down there, through this treacherous terrain unless we absolutely have to, unless we know we got some sort of confirmation.
Right, yeah. Got to be worth going down there.
Yeah.
Yep. And, that kind of goes along with the team too. This team we spend a lot of time researching, a lot of office, a lot of internet. That's another thing, talking about modern day technology. The internet itself has been a good tool for us to use. You'd be surprised how much information you can find. And then, like I said before, you got Antonio, who's contacting Mexico and talking to archaeologists there, and historians and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Oh yeah, sorry. I must be getting older. I must be getting older because I do that sometimes. But anyway, using that drone is like what Sean was saying. This team does the same thing. So with all that work that we put into, like what I said before we even go out in the field, we won't just go out in the field just because we felt like it. It may be taking me and Steve, or me and Sean, or me and Antonio. Yeah, that's okay. But when you get this whole team together, and some of the videos that you guys can see from our YouTube page and Facebook and other social media, that was a well-planned adventure. That's something that we planned for months for, because like what Sean said, some of the stuff is dangerous. Last time we were all out at Hoy Peak, that's 10,000 feet in elevation. We're out in the middle of nowhere. A couple of our team members, after hiking with lack of oxygen and, the up and down mountains and stuff like that can start getting kind of dangerous. So,
we almost buried Todd on the trail. Sorry, Todd.
Just leave me.
Well, what's funny, Sean? I don't know if I told you guys, but I told Steve when we got back. I'm calling Steve, going, "Yeah, we took everybody down there and we got to those mines. We found, the old mines, stuff like that." And I said, "Yeah, Sean, Todd was having kind of a hard time." He goes, "Todd went with you guys?" Because that's a hard hike. Steve's done it.
If you guys don't know Todd, when he goes out backpacking, he puts everything and the kitchen sink in his backpack, and I just don't understand how the man can do it.
That's why all the huffing and puffing I hear on the video.
Oh man, he's amazing. He's like our pack mule. But like Tim had said, it takes a lot that goes into any kind of our expeditions. Not only do we do a lot of research, not only do we we reach out to our oral contacts to get some oral history, but sometimes we send a scouting crew out. There's been plenty of times where we've sent 2, sometimes 3 guys just to go out, scout it, do some drone footage, poke around. But we want to make sure that we do our homework and we do our due diligence before we bring the whole team out, because otherwise we're just wasting everybody's time.
Right. It can't be cheap just to go out there willy-nilly looking around. You gotta, because it's an expense, so you gotta make sure that you're using your time and money wisely. So
Well, that's true, because our state is so big and our search area is so large that it takes a little bit of money and time and effort to cover that much country. And you just can't go diddy bopping around. You got to make a plan, and then go out and execute the plan, and try to not deviate too much, because it does cost money.
I noticed one thing you guys do is, before you actually go out, you have a big old team meeting where you sit down and discuss what you're going to do. So how does that work for you guys?
It's a little bit differently. Like we can let's go off of the last time, guys, our last trip just not too long ago. We all showed up, we met up with about 4 different vehicles. The plan was to meet at the very bottom of the mountain so we can talk, make sure everybody caught up. That way we can go up the mountain together. And one thing that we are really big on is safety, but at the same time, like what Steve and Sean was saying, just to back that up, being on top of things and knowing what our agenda is extremely important. I don't know about you guys, but I can do it too, even still today, after all these years of doing it, where you do the squirrel, and then you're like, uh-oh, you're 2 miles off the path of where you're supposed to be, and you forgot why you were even there. So on that trip, as soon as we got there, Steve pulls out some documentation, some old Spanish documentation. Before you know it, we're all huddled right there on the hood of one of the vehicles, talking about what he just showed us, what he said, and then we go. That's one thing I've learned. I've been in construction for many, many years. I work for some of the largest companies that are out there, some of the largest general contractors in the world. And one thing that they pushed on me and spent a lot of money was safety and having meetings, daily meetings every morning, talking about what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, how you're going to be safe, what you're going to accomplish. And so we try to apply that with what we're doing too, because it is dangerous, it is expensive, and if we don't stay on task, we're going to come back home empty-handed.
We're squirrels.
Squirrels.
Yeah, there's a lot of emails, a lot of Skype calls that go on for months on these big projects. We're always in contact with each other and floating ideas and plans, and we do a lot of meetings. Even when we're not together, we're together.
Yeah, technology really has helped with that. If we're not Skyping with each other, if we're not texting, if we're not FaceTiming, it's if we can't get everybody together, we're going to find some way that we can reach out and contact everybody.
Yep.
So do you guys always go out together, or in small groups maybe, or do you go off on your own every once in a while?
That's a good question. So we almost always will try to take the whole team. And so far for the last couple of years, we've done pretty good with keeping the average of every 2 to 4 months, this team goes out together. Now, once we're out there, yes, we do put certain guys on different teams with walkie-talkies, GPS systems, all kinds of stuff. And we will split up if we have to. It kind of just depends. Everywhere we go, it's different. Sometimes it's the harsh desert. Sometimes it's the cold, high elevation. I've been out hiking with these guys. I remember a few years ago, the snow was so deep, it was past my knees. And we were by that time 5 miles out in the middle of nowhere. So it just kind of depends on the danger and the objective of what we're going after.
And we've all got our,
I go out. Go ahead, Todd.
We've all got our, individual interests.
Yeah.
So we'll go out. I'll go out metal detecting, and doing my own thing. But and sometimes, like you were saying before about scouting an area, there may be just 1 or 2 of us go out to scout an area. We'll get a story and say, hey, can somebody run out there and take a look at this and see if it matches up to the story? So, it depends on what we're doing, how many people are involved. But yeah, we try and get out every few months as a whole team.
So Todd, I know you pretty much are the gold guy, right?
Well, yeah, Yeah.
He is. I'll tell you what.
Go ahead. You can admit it. It's okay.
Todd is. He's really good. Either with the metal detector or with gold panning or with actual hard rock mining. He has a lot of experience with that kind of stuff.
So that's the way you want your team to be able to be that diversified, where you got a diver, you got a climber, a gold guy, your history buff, and you, the team leader. So what do you got besides your new contract? Got any other places that you're wanting to look here in the future?
Gosh. Yeah, you know what? That me and Steve have been talking a little bit. I'm not going to give too much information, guys, because just not only do we have to keep things quiet from the FBI and all that kind of stuff, we also have to keep things quiet from our own competition, you know. So unfortunately, there is a lot of things. We try to share the adventure of everything rather than real information. Of course, I think you can all appreciate that. Maybe one day, you know, we'll get so busy where we can share some location with the people. But yeah, you know, yeah.
There's been a couple guys. There were one guy in particular. Don't tell him where it's at. Don't say nothing. There's nothing here in Utah. He's in Utah. Like, I don't know. Don't tell him. Don't say, you know. Don't go there. There's no treasures in Utah.
and we're actively researching a lot of different projects, you know, and as we kind of whittle them down and tighten up these stories, we've got places in Nevada, you know, just little ones, not necessarily big huge treasures, but we're working a whole bunch all the time.
Yeah, we're always brainstorming. You know, that's another thing between Steve, Todd, and myself. All three of us have been doing this for a long time, have a lot of research. I bet if you put the three of us together, I couldn't even tell you how many stories we have. So when the three of us start brainstorming, what is the team going to do next? Sometimes it takes us a month just to make a decision on where we're going to go next. When it comes to stories, we never have a problem with that. If anything, we have a problem with weaving them out. But we never have a problem with what we're going to do next.
And the great thing with having Antonio as part of our team is we can go internationally. You know, he's got a good one. I don't know if you want to touch on it, Antonio, without giving him too much detail, but you know, he's got a really cool story that we've been wanting to go after for quite a while down in Mexico.
Well, it's not only one. I have a few of them in mind, but yeah, whenever we plan we have to plan something to go down there and get some information, pictures, everything. Yeah,
he's got contacts. He's got family members. They brought back artifacts. You know, there's a few things, a few little key points that we're waiting on before we can green light some of these other projects. But we got some other things that are definitely in the works, not just here in America.
We had a question directed towards Antonio in the room a while back from our friend Ronald from ERP Radio. He asked if you ever explored or found any of the old temples, like say an Aztec temple or a Mayan temple or anything like that.
I've been in different some places like Mayan pyramids, temples in Mexico City. There's a lot of Aztec ruins, the Tenochtitlan pyramids. Those are mind-blowing sites that it's hard.
I've actually been to those, to the ones outside Mexico City.
Yeah,
to those temples out there. The sun temple and the moon and the.
Right. Yeah.
I've been to those when I was younger.
Yeah. I like to visit them. We've been in Chichen Itza. Those big sacred holes, the water holes, they call them cenotes, where you can dive in and clear crystal water. So there's a lot of places to go down there.
And then with the LiDAR now being used so much, they're mapping large areas of Mexico and South America where they're finding a lot of the temples and stuff, and they're finding that all the villages and stuff outside, and how much bigger that whole group of people was. I mean, there was a lot more than what they thought. Now, especially with LiDAR showing all the roads and all the old buildings that are hidden by the jungle, they're running into a lot of new stuff that's never been discovered before. So that's
there's a lot of still a lot of hidden cities, whole cities under the jungle, and it's a lot of to discover, rediscover, or unbury. A lot of stuff. We can be busy for years and
forever.
We might don't live enough to research for all of them.
They found a lot right there in Belize and Yucatan. Some of the greatest discoveries ever have been discovered with the LiDAR now, and they're moving in. Several of my colleagues are moving in there now to start doing excavations. They're finding out, too, that some of those cities were more ancient than anybody ever imagined. And they predate the Egyptians, and which is amazing.
More ancient and like way bigger than what they thought. Covering a bigger area. I mean, just unbelievable.
Yeah, it's amazing. And we have, believe it or not, we have some sites like that right here in the West, in Utah and Arizona, that would blow your mind on age, on types of structures and ancient, almost a pyramidal shaped areas that date back. I'm talking about 15, 20,000 years ago, or that we know just now, but we have one other site in southern Utah that we think dates back to over 65,000 years. And so that's one I haven't talked to the boys about, but I'm going to. I know the area real well, and I need to get in there with the team and start really looking. And this time of year is the best because it's not so hot down there as it was during our summer. So that's something that they're over there now. They're licking their lips. I can see them.
Yeah, that's holding out on us, Steve.
Yeah.
Steve, keep your mind on that one, because I think we know where we're going next, right, guys?
We have a friend in the room, Rich Cooley of Prospectors Radio. He's a co-host over there, and he has a question. So what are some of the things you guys have found as a group, if you're allowed to say? Okay, is there anything you're willing to disclose that you may have found on private property, mind you, somewhere
in your backyard,
at no tell'em location?
Well, I don't think there's anything that anybody wants to talk about. Be honest with you. Not on the air.
Sorry.
I think we'll keep that a secret.
Well, this will only go out to the small group that's listening.
Well, if we start talking about it and you see a red dot on your forehead,
you know, all I have to say is that there has been things found. We do try to be very careful. This is not just, I would love to share things, you know, between all of us, we can talk about things that will just make everybody, you know, hear what they want to hear. What he just asked is exactly the same question we get asked all the time. And unfortunately, we have to dodge that question a little bit. I think it's smart for us to do that. I can tell you artifacts have been found. I will say I have a Spanish sword in my house. Steve has one.
I have 3.
Artifacts. Yeah, there you go. There are artifacts we have I found it on private property and it's a replica. How about that?
There you go. It looks just like they used to look.
Yeah, that's right.
I can fully understand. Totally.
It's one of the places that I really wish. That's the one thing about what we do. I mean, if we can come forward and say what we found last weekend or last month, whatever it is, I think that Treasures of America would be a pretty famous team, you know. But unfortunately, that's the stuff that we have to leave out.
Right. It isn't like a lot of us prospectors, you know, where we're not finding some antiquity item or something. We're finding raw gold, and even then, if we hit some problems, but
yeah, you have to be careful. Even in the state of Utah here, they've changed it since I've been born. It's now 50 years. If you're using a metal detector, you're out there digging, and you can stop me if I'm wrong, Steve, but I heard now the new law is you have to leave it, call the Forest Service, call the authorities, you're not supposed to take. So I mean that can take out less than
anything older 50 years old is considered an antiquity. Doesn't matter what it is.
So as
or anything they decide that ought to belong to the Antiquity Act.
So
it's
if I find a 1966 dime, that's an antiquity.
It can be if they decide it is.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I mean, that's the way it is. It's the truth, and that's just the way it is. Yeah.
It's like over in the UK, if you find a coin with a hole in it, it becomes treasure.
Right.
So,
but there is a loophole. You can file a treasure trove permit through the federal government. They'll take 90% of it from you, though.
And that's another thing. How much a team like us, how much do we want everybody to know what we're going for, especially the government, by filling out these applications and forms and stuff like that? Not only that, if we were going to do that, and that's a big if, we want to make sure that it's there first.
Oh yeah,
right,
definitely.
Yeah, because I can imagine they're going to want to charge you in the first place for any kind of
they get their money first.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's that.
So it's a touchy situation, you know, and unfortunately the government's the greediest of them all.
Right.
And they have no scruples at all, and people who work for them don't either. So it's just a sad situation.
We've all witnessed that recently.
Right. Yeah. So, but we have a lot of things going right now. We've got I've got some stuff that I'm working with members of the Ute Indian tribes out on the eastern part of Utah, and I've worked exclusively with them several times on different things. And I can't elaborate at all what, but there are some things that I just had come across here not too long ago of some stuff that's off the reservation that might be something that we can go after as a team. And that's something else I have to talk to the boys about that I just found out. So, a lot of research, a lot of work. Make sure all your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed, and maybe we can get some stuff that benefit us. Maybe not us monetarily, but historically, you know. So that's a lot of it. I like that because a lot of people have the wool pulled over their eyes and they don't know what's going on. They don't know what's really happening.
Yeah.
And they're told a certain thing. They're told these stories and lies and that's what the government likes. They keep people in the dark, you know.
Yeah, a bunch of mushrooms. Keep them in the dark and fill them with a lot of beep.
That's right. So, but we're all about truth and all about history and all about what happened, you know.
Yep.
I do have a question. Do you ever or thought about or have collaborated with any other teams or any other individual, like say collaborate with someone like Terry Carter?
No.
Yeah, I actually talk to Terry Carter about once a month. Treasures in America, I don't know if this will help you out, but when it comes to East Coast to West Coast, we have about 2,000 connections. And those 2,000 connections, depending on who has the information, who will work with us best for a certain job, we will get a hold of those people. I'm on through email, through Skype, through text messaging, Facebook Messenger. I'm constantly communicating with these people as we're looking for more information, and we're not against working with other people whatsoever. You know, it's something that we think, you know, for instance, let me explain something real quick. With the contract, this is a good example with the contract with the producer. One of the things, not only did they say, you know, we're interesting guys, we're good personalities, they think that we'd be good on TV, they also were very amazed with how much intel and how many sites we have. The one thing I told them is that we can go to any state in North America, and I guarantee you I can find 5 to 10 significant stories. But here's the thing. We're here in Utah and Nevada. And about something in Montana, something in New York, outside of New York or whatever. But lots of times reaching out to these 2,000 contacts that we do have, they do live there. They have information on it and they can help us, and in that case it's very worth us working with people like that live in that area, that can go out. You know, for us to either we have to hop in a car or in a plane, you know, it costs money. It's definitely worth for us to work with other groups.
I can see where it can be a plus or a minus. And Luke Duke just asked in the room, after I brought it up, Terry Carter, have they ever worked with Terry Carter? He's in contact with him quite a bit, Luke.
I like Terry Carter. We all like Terry Carter. He's a good guy. I think Todd has a little bit, and I know Steve has in the past. Yeah,
a lot of it has to do with time too, guys. One thing that you don't see on Facebook or you know, on YouTube is a business that's being built right now, and you know, I'm with Tim every day, and you know, I see the time that he's putting into it, and I see, you know, the gray hairs that are starting to pop open and or pop out, and the bags that are forming under his eyes. When he's not working, you know, during the daylight hours, he's at home working on it. You know, so there's a lot of stuff that's going on. We'd love to have more time to work with more people and collaborate. You know, a lot of it too is weeding out the kooks, the crazy ones. Some of the phone calls that we get and some of the messages, you know, these guys just make you want to scratch your head. But you know, we do have some good reputable contacts that we'd love to carve out some time once we get the business up and running.
Yeah, well, we've had Terry on our show, and I like to watch his videos because he talks to old guys about some of their knowledge. So that's pretty cool. I imagine he has a lot of information that's useful to a lot of different people.
Yeah,
he's got some good stories.
Right,
he does have good stories. And all the listeners do have to understand that Utah was huge gold rush and treasure hunters 20 years ago. The state of Utah used to work with a lot of people work together. A lot of these treasure hunters, a lot of really smart guys back before my generation. I remember watching these guys when I was young. Todd's a part of that era, and so is Steve. But everybody has to understand that it's hard to remain friends sometimes when you're out in the field. Some people go, you know, they split roads, they go a different direction. And so even though that Terry's a great guy and stuff like that, sometimes our interests are not quite his.
Right. And bottom line, he is competition.
Yeah. I try not to think of anybody as competition if it has to do with uncovering the history. You know, when it comes to that, that's worth more than secrets, in my opinion, although you still have to watch the government and stuff like that. But I know that this team feels the same way when it comes to making a big discovery. It's not just the riches of gold. It's also uncovering that lost history. So in that case, if someone did have the right information that we needed, we can look past all that competition stuff Yeah, to do the first thing, which would be to uncover what
that.
lost for so long.
Right, uncover that history.
Our friend Jeff, MacGyver Muscle Machines. Now, this might be a vague answer, Jeff, but question for the guest. Any info on White Rocks? I think you may know what I mean. He's also from Utah.
Todd, did you get that?
Yeah, I've spent a little time up White Rocks. There's a lot of interesting stuff up there. I know Steve's been up there quite a bit more than I have, but yeah, White Rocks is a really interesting area. There's some good stories up there.
Yeah, that's where me and a little Indian buddy of mine, that's where we found that little cannon up there when I was a kid. White Rock used to have a lot of mines. There's a lot of mines in White Rock Canyon, Bridger Draw, Red Pine Canyon. There's mines. I don't wish that phone would be ringing.
Just leave it off the hook, Steve.
There's
live entertainment for you.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw it in the garbage. Anyway, there's a White Rocks cave up there that is an ice cave, and Indian legend says that there's a mammoth in the bottom of it. Whether or not there is or not, I couldn't tell you. But we found a lot of Spanish signs and symbols all up through the bottom of White Rocks. In 1972, there was a 12-foot cannon taken out of White Rocks River by a group of guys. There's also a couple caves that were found up on the left-hand side that had Spanish armor in them that members of the Ute tribe has taken out. And one thing I found that was really fun was I found a bunch of stumps, a bunch of trees with stumps cut, and on the roots there were hatchet marks cut on every root, and they were numbered. And so what we figured that would had to have been some kind of a code of some kind. And according to my Ute friends, it was actually just that. It was giving us a direction to where some mines were. And so I never did pursue it a lot because a lot of the stumps had rotted away. But I think what White Rocks itself was one of those canyons where a lot of people say there was one of the sacred mines, one of the Spanish sacred mines up there, one of the Indian sacred mines. Some people say that the fabled Karashinab was up there, and of course I don't believe there was any such thing as a Karashinab, but a lot of people do. And White Rocks itself, all the way up to the top, to the backbone of the Uintas, there's been gold found, and all the streams in some of the lakes. And so White Rocks is one of the places where any prospector in Utah loves to go. But it's hard, it's rugged, it's tough, and it can be unforgiving.
Well, I hope that answered your question, Jeff.
There's some good information right there.
Yeah, there was. So how about a little information on one of the videos that I watched recently on tree markings?
Oh.
I saw you guys going and you were being shown a bunch of markings on trees and what you guys thought was going on there.
I can talk to you about that a little bit. Like I said earlier, years ago when I was young, there was a couple of Utes that taught me how to read signs and symbols. One was named Richard Ridley, Bishop O'Roaches, and oh heck, who was the other one? I can't think right now. Called Paul Cornpeach. And they take me and show me these Spanish signs, and they taught me how to read them. And they were taught by their fathers and grandfathers how to read them. And so I logged all those down. In fact, Gale Rhodes, the late Gale Rhodes, Dusty Rhodes, put a pamphlet together on those signs and symbols. And he wrote a book and it showed a lot of those symbols and a lot of their meanings. And I did likewise in another book. But a lot of things we didn't put in is how to read the codes. A lot of those symbols were coded. And that's what's really important, is to learn how to read the code. And now a lot of those signs and symbols are cut out of the trees. The trees are dead. They got old. They died. Some of the symbols are on rocks still, where they haven't been defaced. Unfortunately, some of the older pines and fir trees had the real ornate signs and symbols in. People's gone up and cut them out for no other reason than they want to put them in their front yard or something.
Yeah.
But the thing about a lot of these mines and treasures that were any good, they were all mostly coded. So you had to follow a code. And I learned a little bit about those codes and how to read them. And that's something that was a real art. And I have to laugh at how many people come on Facebook or they talk about all these symbols and how to read them, and they have no clue what they're even talking about. I mean, no clue at all. And there's a lot of people that are Kenworthy fans that if they see a rock with a pigeon sitting on it, they think it's a Spanish symbol. So, but signs and symbols were a major part with the Spanish when they were up in Utah, Nevada, Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, all through there on Spanish mines, good mines. And if there was any caches left, they would not only that, but they didn't just talk about that. They talked about places they have where there was water, where there was food, where there was a smelter, where there was an arastra, and they used those symbols. And so they were, like I say, the good ones were coded, and that's something you just can't figure out on your own. You got to be taught.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's why, to be honest with you, that site, Steve showed me that site many years ago. I've been keeping it secret, but when we were up there as a team this time, we decided that we don't have to tell you guys where it's at. We don't have a GPS on it giving you coordinates. So we are working really hard to kind of unbreak some old habits that, Steve has taught me and Steve learned, and, we've taught the team members. But we did bring that video forward so the audience can see what these symbols look like. Because like what Steve said, there's not that many out there anymore, and they're hard to find. They really are. So
yeah, I would have never thought of looking at a tree for a symbol. Like to me, to put a symbol on a tree, that would seem like that wouldn't be a permanent thing. It would be just more of a temporary a sign, like like you put a construction sign for right now, knowing that it's not going to be there forever. Right?
Well, they'd come back and they'd do
rock,
other trees too. Yeah.
Yeah.
As opposed to on a rock where it's always going to be there once you carve it in there.
Well, you also got to think about it in the Spanish point of view. They are putting that on there because either they just hit a cache or they're leaving a mine and they want to come back and get it. They have no means to come back and get it, after they're dead. So a good standing tree at the time would suffice for what they need to do. The same with the rock monuments. There's a lot of rock monuments, like what Steve was saying, in all these states around here that led you to those sites. But, a ponderosa pine tree will live up to 500 years. So if they find if they find a good, strong tree, again, they might have had in their mind that they'll be back in 10 years. They might have had even in their mind, let's say the Spanish drove them off and they were feared for their lives. They still had in their mind that maybe their son would come after it, So we're still talking about leaving symbols that weren't meant to be left for thousands of years. It was meant for themselves so them and their comrades could come find it.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Now,
and when those symbol trees began to die, those that returned would make new ones on the surrounding trees, and they picked trees that would had longevity, and we have what we call a quake and aspen out here that a lot of people think grows up and dies after 30 years. Well, the mother and father trees will live 300 years. And we found signs and symbols on those old trees that date back many, many years, and they're hard to read because as a tree ages, it barks up, and so you almost have to dissect the bark and take a picture, and then try to put everything together because it's really, really hard to dissect it in your mind. You have to kind of draw a picture, but it's amazing what we found on some of those old parent trees on quake and aspens.
Yeah, I was watching how you were measuring how old that symbol was, You talked about the age. You can tell by the way the bark's growing around it. You know.
Right.
Well, doesn't that change the symbol somewhat?
Well, yeah, sometimes it does. You got to get down and look inside. You don't want to destroy the bark. You don't want to destroy the scarring if you can help it. But sometimes you got to kind of cut back on the scarring to see where the original carving was. Okay. Yeah. And so a lot of times they'd do that, and then they'd carve a code inside on the bark, on the non-barked area. Yeah. And so you have to get down on your knees and get really close, and probably with a loop or some kind of a flashlight, and study those real carefully.
Oh, they would put symbols in the symbols.
A lot of times they did that, right?
Wow.
You would find diamonds. You would find, like, for instance, let's say the symbol is a turtle and it's representing wealth or something of big value. Inside that turtle, we have found some that have a diamond or have something else that gives it now a direction or a distance and stuff like that. So you have to be very careful. There's some that I found a few years back on an old Ponderosa tree. Sean has seen it. I don't know if I showed Todd this, but this tree is so massive and it's leaning it's leaning as we speak right now. It's going to come down any day. And think of the bark as kind of like a scab when you cut yourself. The bark sometimes will grow. The growth will kind of go over the cut. Right. And then it's kind of hard to see what the cut looks like underneath. And that's what's going on with some of these trees. And Steve is exactly right. I've been waiting, me and Steve have been so busy and we're always in different locations, but Steve has the most experience with this kind of stuff. And I've been wanting to take him up there because the only way we're ever going to know what these symbols really mean is by cutting back some of that scar, some of that excess bark and stuff like that. Right. And the same thing like what Steve said, I can see on the trunk that there's knife carvings. And the bark is so overgrown that all I can see is some slices, but I really can't see the whole thing.
You can't see what the symbol actually looks like.
Right.
Now, Liz, the Digging Canuck, I pretty much know the answer to this, I believe, but she's says, is tree marking exclusive to the state you're speaking of? I would say no.
They're universal.
Because I know the natives a lot out here would bend trees too.
Yeah, we have that out here too, and the Spanish did that too. We call it manipulation, tree manipulation, and but not so much by our Utes or Paiutes as it was by the Spanish out here, as it was back in your area.
Now,
our friend Ohio Relic Hunter has a question. You guys ever run into any false markings to lead you off the trail?
Absolutely. That was common. And that's something you had to learn. You had to learn that because they would lead you astray. And that was done on purpose for people that were coming into an area that weren't supposed to be there. I've been on a lot of those trails. It took me for a couple of years to figure out what I did wrong. So,
speaking of the devil, hey, how you doing, Terry Carter?
Hi, Terry.
Hello, Terry.
Do you go by Doc, Stefan? Do you go by Doc by any chance?
I do.
Because Terry Carter goes, well, hello, Doc.
Hello, Terry, old buddy. How you doing? Long time no see. You're looking good.
Kind of thinning in the face, though, Terry. Yeah. Oh, that's the skull on your avatar. Never mind. Well, I know we only had you you wanted to be about an hour and a half. It's an hour and 42 minutes now, Timothy. I know we could keep you longer if it was within our ability, but I know you guys all have busy lives and your stuff and other commitments to do.
Yeah, but we're not done.
I know we could be.
We could keep them on longer. It's up to them, though.
And I do appreciate you letting us cut loose. I really would love to sit here. You know, that's one thing about all of us on Traders in America. We could sit here and talk about this all night long. Unfortunately, we do have some.
We'd love to sit here and listen to you all night long.
We would let you, really, but we talked about this earlier. So
yeah. But we do appreciate everything that you guys have done. Don't forget to find us on social media. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. TreasuresInAmerica.com. We're about to launch our online retail store. It will be a massive online store. I know a couple of you might have heard me talk about it in the last month and a half. There have been some delays. I'm hoping to have it open by the end of October. I'm not talking about a few things like a couple backpacks and a couple tents. This is a big store. It will be comparable to as many products as what you'll find on certain stores like backcountry.com, REI, things like that. There's been a lot of work put into that. So we are going to do giveaways. And I know some people think giveaways are, to buy customers. That's not what we want to do here. What we want to do is make you guys aware of what you can sell by giving away a crap load of stuff. And who doesn't like giveaways, right? We're going to give away
I like good. I love free stuff.
Well, and I thought about it. I thought about not doing it, but my biggest thing right now is getting people to understand what we're doing with Treasures in America. It is treasure hunting, but there is other things too. And this store is a passion of ours. We decided we wanted a store that fits our needs, the kind of equipment we use. And this store has been created by us to pick out the right brands of right equipment, all the way from, when we go out as a team, we're fishing, we're hunting, we're camping, we're hiking, we're doing all the different things. So this store will have everything. We're talking about over 2,000 brands, brand names. We're talking about over a couple hundred categories of different things that you guys can use. And we have a lot more videos coming to YouTube. I think you guys will all enjoy that. Steve has really helped us out on that kind of stuff. But we're going to flip along. Keep watching.
Well, I've enjoyed having you again, and I'm glad you were able to get most of your crew back on here. Todd, it's been a pleasure again. And Steve, I enjoyed your stories. I'd love to hear more of them. Maybe we can do this again sometime.
Been a pleasure.
And Mr. Mendez, next time you can talk some more, right?
Okay, sir.
Look up my books and buy them. I need the money.
Yeah. You guys, that's another thing. Steve is being modest right now. His books, I guarantee you, it'll blow everybody away if you read it. He's the one that gave me my passion. He helped me out with my passion by reading his books. There are many of them out there. You got out. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, really.
There's Out of the Dust, and there's of Men in Gold, the revised edition. That's the one I suggest you get. That's a real good one. Those ones right there will help you, with signs and symbols and goals and different things like that. My latest book was Treasure in Utah. My latest book was Treasures in Utah, and that just came out, and that's a history, kind of a mining prospecting history of every county in the state of Utah. It's called Treasures of Utah, and that just came out. I got a new one coming out in a month, but anyway, yeah, it's fun. I like history and like writing about it. And
where can you find your books at? Right.
Well, you can find them on Amazon, or if you get the one of Men in Gold, the revised edition, you might find it on Amazon. But if not, you get a hold of Digital Legends Press, and they'll have it. And you can get it from them, or you can get it from me.
I'll tell you guys what, I know exactly how you're going to find his books. It doesn't matter if it's used, they can go up to a couple $100. There's new ones all over the place. All you have to do is do a Google search. Just open up Google, type in Stephen B. Schaefer. You type that in, you will find him immediately on the first page, and you will be able to, from there, use those links to find his books.
Okay. Thank you.
Go ahead and
Go ahead.
Either E-N or A-N, either one.
Yeah.
Stephen Schaefer.
S-H-A-F-F-E-R, huh? S-T-E-P-H-A-N. Or E-N, either way.
You guys
it's actually
type that in
A-N, that's my real
information.
Yeah, so.
You can also find on our YouTube page, I always try linking these guys' Facebook pages and stuff like that so you can find us from going to our YouTube channel. Also on TreasureAmerica.com, I have a Meet the Team tab, and all these guys are there with their information. On Steve's page, there is stuff there that shows links to his books and books that he has written. So
yeah, and you can go to ancienthunter.info, and you can get the same thing.
Yep.
ancienthunter.info.
All right, everyone, buy some books.
Buy
it. Yeah, Bonnie needs a new car, so.
Better yet, buy the books because you want to learn about history.
There you go.
That's what got me
started. And get Steve a new car.
Yeah, that's what his books did get me started. So I don't know if that carries any weight, but I probably wouldn't have gone down the path that I did if I didn't read his book. So,
that's cool.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Well,
hey, again, thank you guys for being with us tonight. It's been fun.
It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, the chat room has been pretty engaged with it tonight, and that's always good.
Yeah.
And Mr. Lodak says, stop telling people there's treasure. Okay. He says, we're closing Utah to treasure.
There's no golden treasure there.
He's right. There is no treasure here. We
right.
Go down.
You look in your backyard.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's all in Todd's backyard.
Yeah, it's all in Todd's backyard.
Yeah, it's supposed to snow tonight. You won't be able to find it now.
That's right. It's already snowed up here above my house.
Oh, geez. We were in the almost 90 degrees today, so.
Wow.
But that's going to start changing tomorrow.
Real quick.
Yeah, we're going to be hanging out in the 50s.
50s. Well, that's like summer here.
Yeah, it's like winter here, though.
It'll be in the 30s at my house tonight.
Okay, guys. Well, thank you for letting us be on here, and thank you everybody for watching. And we hope you look us up, and we hope to hear from you guys more.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks
Thank you.
for being here.
Check out Treasures in America on Facebook and treasuresinamerica.com. Go hit up Stefan for some of his books. Mama Needs a New Cadillac. I appreciate your time, Antonio, Stefan,
Thank you for the invitation.
Todd, Sean.
Thanks for having us.
We really appreciate you taking your valuable time to share what you can with us.
Maybe next time you will share a little more. Maybe just a tidbit more. Yeah, learn something new.
You'll have to have us on the show again. We'll find out.
Okay.
We'll talk, buddy. We'll talk.
Okay.
Everyone, if you want to stick around, I don't think we'll be quite done yet, but unfortunately, our guests have to depart. Until then, guys, keep it low and keep it slow. And Todd, may you always have a flash in your pan. The rest of you, be safe out there. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we don't have commercials. Now we don't have commercials to go to.
No. But we could talk about other things, Jesse.
Oh, sure.
Now you guys could show your mugs.
Okay.
Steph is showing treasure porn.
He's showing pictures.
I have to bring that up.
Yeah, this is a replica of one that was called the Lady Elch. Look it up on your computer, Lady Elch, and it was found at 8 foot deep in a well in Richfield, Utah, and shouldn't have been there. Look it up and.
I have here about that image. What was what she calls?
The Lady Elch.
Elch?
Yeah.
ELS. Yeah, she's made in Spain, and there this one here I paid $80 for. The original one was almost black with tarnish, but it was found 8 foot deep when the guys were digging a well in Richfield, Utah, by hand. It was found many years ago, but it shouldn't have been in Utah. So we'll go figure that one out.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's got cuneiform writing all around the edge. Cuneiform. Some of the oldest known writing there is.
Very cool.
We had an article in Ancient America magazine. Editor is Wayne May, and one of the articles was about the Lady Elch in one of his magazines, but I can't remember which issue it was. But they done a scientific study on it and told about how old it was. So it's amazing. This is like one of the artifacts, the type of stuff I like to find, like to look for.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Lady Elch.
Yeah, and what's amazing is it's a kind of a brass, but it's made out of an alloy that we're not used to seeing, that we're not sure about. And then on the back there's three little circle little things, to attach something to, but it's not solder and it's not silver solder. They've connected with a type of a ore, a type of a material that we're not familiar with either. So we're not sure how old these things are or where this originated from, but we know the original Lady Elch came from Spain.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a Spaniard from the Spain.
Yeah, look her up.
I am. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at I see a bunch of busts.
A bunch of busts.
Well, yeah, there's a bunch of busts of her.
Oh, okay.
Lady Elch. Pretty interesting. You guys look it up. You want to know about her?
There's some homework.
Yeah, it's fun. You'll like what you read. It'll be fun for you to read.
Cool. So, and this is the stuff that they don't find in Utah, right?
What's that?
That's the stuff they don't find in Utah.
No, it wasn't supposed to be in Utah, but it was found in Utah. A lot of stuff that's found here was not supposed to be found here. So,
right. Well, and that again, that's history we were taught is actually different from what reality is.
That's true. That's true.
So, and then like another thing that I've been finding too is that a lot of your old temples and monuments were actually built on older platforms, on older monuments and temples and stuff where they either were destroyed and built by somebody else or taken over. So that's pretty interesting that when you find, oh, look how old this place is, and you dig deeper and find that the actual base is even older than that. And then dig deeper, and it's even more older than that.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So it's amazing.
Makes you wonder how many times we've been here.
Well, I gotta go, boys. So,
well, it's been a pleasure. I hope we get to see you again, talk to you again.
I appreciate it. It's been fun.
It has. It's been fun. We like doing it like this. It's not a formal thing where we ask you a question, you give an answer. We ask you another question. We might just, like we were sitting around at the campfire,
Yeah, right. Yep.
Tipping one and talking crap.
All righty.
All right. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Okay, buddy. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye. Let's see. Okay, I'll put my camera on. Huh?
All right. Dano.
I'm here.
There you are.
Just sick.
Yeah, I was going to say, are you feeling any better?
No, I'm ready for a hot shower in bed.
Oh,
yeah,
that's a good after work, man. Jeez.
That's a good point. Martin. 8 feet down. It must have been covered by mudslide or natural disaster. 8 feet, because that could take a long time.
Covered by lahar or, yeah.
For nature to do it gradual as it normally does, it would have to be really, really old or something covered it up to be that deep. You're right. I would think. I don't know. I'd have to ask Jeff Williams. He would know. We have to get him on again. We'll ask him that question.
Yeah, it's been a while. Might have to reach out to Jeff. If let's ask for any suggestions in the room.
Well, I don't know. I don't see. But anyways, we got the medal show or GPA Gold and Prospector show coming up at the end of the month.
Right. Right.
Did we talk about that already?
No, we briefly, but no, not really.
That's coming last weekend of the month. We'll be in the painting booth.
Yeah.
Yep.
We'll be in the painting booth with Emily Rydell. Remember, everyone, if you come by, stop by and see us and ask for our autographs and not Emily Rydell's.
And there might be a little something else there for you too if you stop by.
It's at the Clark County Fairground, October 27th and 28th. There is no other gold show on the East Coast, but ours here in No Gold, Ohio.
No Gold, Ohio.
Well, Ron for the Hills Mining's in the room.
Yeah, it's about time he showed up. Hey, Mr. Adams, how are you doing?
I didn't see him.
He's there. I just saw him.
He said, "Hi, guys."
Well, hi, Ron. Did Ron ever decide whether he's going to make it to the gold show this year?
I don't know. I haven't talked to him in a while.
Yeah.
He should come down, though. He is sending a couple of creek critters or something for our booth, right?
Oh, I don't know. I got mine.
Well,
I was going to use
yeah,
mine as a display.
For the mat?
Right. But he was supposed to send me some business cards too. Yeah, I haven't gotten them yet. So
yeah, we can't hand out business cards if we don't got them. Mr. Ronald Adams. Now, is Ronald gonna think I'm talking to Ronald or Ronald?
Could be Ronald.
Could be. Now, I'm going to open up the phone lines for just a minute.
Oh, boy.
And I want some suggestions on future guests.
Oh, yeah. Who do you guys want to see?
Who would you guys want us to get on in the treasure hunting, metal detecting, whatever community, in our community, we have a big community.
We need to get him on. He said he'd get on with us.
Yeah, that's
get up hold of Kevin. Hold him to his word.
We could talk to him at, once they end one place, it's his mining season in Arizona. And so, we need to nail them down during the gold show. And maybe the following day, because if they have their laptop and they're in a motel room or not on the road, maybe we could get them on.
Well, in order to get gold shows here on the East Coast, the GPAA chapters have to show that there's enough interest
That's
for
right.
them to bring one out to your area. So you guys, if you guys are members of the GPAA and you want a gold treasure show in your area, your club needs to get together with a place, other clubs, even if they're not
venue,
even if they're not, GPAA, even local clubs, get together and show them that there's enough interest. They could conceivably bring a show to Boston, to wherever,
Yeah, but you do have to show. You have to do your work,
right?
Because this show's brought to our community here by the OSPA, the Buckeye chapter, Central Indiana chapter, and I know Thomas and Jeffrey and Sonny has put a lot of energy into bringing the show here.
Right.
And
now, some people we can't get. People like Tony Beats and some of these guys we can't get because they're under contract, especially with the Gold Show with Gold Rush. So they're really hard pressed to do a lot. I know GPS has gotten a couple of them, but
well, sometimes it's I'm working with Chris Dyer from Dyer Prospecting to get the geologist that's still in contract from Ice Cold Gold.
Right, I saw his video, or not his video, his picture. He can't do videos.
Well, yeah, when he was down at Bill's Pure Gold.
Right.
But he's contracted to be on absolutely no video.
Right.
So we would have to have maybe a picture of him or something if he's on, or show a rock or something. We can't show his face while he's on. We do have a caller though, boys.
Somebody we know?
Well, yeah, he's an LBPA member of the Motherlode chapter.
Ah, okay. I bet I know who that is.
Yeah.
That crazy redhead.
Crazy ginger. Don't be racist.
Gotta watch out for us gingers, man.
Oh no! Wait a minute. I'm Mexican. I can be racist.
No.
I was kind of disappointed because I wanted to talk to the Mexican MacGyver.
You missed out, dude.
Sorry.
He intrigued me.
We should have been here sooner.
It's all right. He talked too much, so I was tired.
How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I enjoyed that show. That was a good one.
That was fun. I like talking to those guys. That Steve dude's got a lot of knowledge, don't he?
Steve is Doc, right?
Yeah.
Doc, yeah. He was making a lot of noise, though, playing with something on his desk, I tell you.
Well, Doc rocks, man. He was probably playing his drums. I don't know. I enjoyed his stories, man. They're awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Martin from Golden Pay Dirt Review says maybe Chris from Bogus. We had Chris on several months back. I'm sure he'd do it again.
And they said, "What's up with the goose now?" Ron asked.
Well, Sluice Goose is now living in Florida and loving life, living so close to Disney World. And I'd like to get Magic Mike on and El Burro. Because they kind of took over where Magic Mike and Sluice Goose left off, if I'm correct.
Do they have a channel? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, El Burro. I'm subscribed to it, but it's not Magic Mike's channel. It's the other guys.
Right on. Well, you should have him
So
that's my suggestion.
BMX suggested Robert Ferguson.
I talked to Robert before,
Robert,
and he's not interested. He said he's kind of an introvert and don't know if he'd do well. But
he does YouTube videos.
I know he does. And
how can it be an introvert?
He metal detects in my old backyard, Newport and Huntington Beach. He prospects the South Fork of the San Gabriel River. But I can hit him up again.
How about Ohio Relic Hunter?
Well, Bill, I think that'd be pulling teeth like Bob Drake.
Well, I'm looking at some. Here's a Gone Digging. Who's that? Let's get them on.
Have you had Jerry yet?
Gone Digging. I wouldn't mind having on because Matt, I believe, is his name. He has a show also, much like ours. Adam's been on it, actually. Hey, Gone Digging, Matt. Would you care to be on our show sometime? I'm working on my December guest list now. But next week, we're having Josh Kimmel from Beyond Sight and Sound Radio on. Should be a pretty good show.
Yeah, Martin. I've been talking to Alan Robinson. I think I mentioned him to you too, Ed. He's an inventor, prospector dude. He's a DIY guy.
Right.
You know, that he would be cool. He said he might be open to that. Get home again.
I think I've talked to him also.
Cool.
He made a bucket hopper also, and he's made a self-feeding sluice hopper out of a bucket. Some pretty cool stuff. Good suggestion, Martin. Now, what were you saying, Josh?
Damn, I already forgot. Shit, I don't even know. How about Jerry? Have you had Jerry on yet? Did I miss that show? Jerry, California. Gosh,
Mother Lode? Yeah,
Mother Lode.
Yeah, Jerry was on.
Yeah, he's on a few weeks ago, I think.
Matt's game.
See it? Good old beer. I probably fucking watched the show and I don't even remember. Oh, there I go again. Sorry.
I think you might have. I think you even called in.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Damn it.
And Dan Hurd, I shot out a kind of an invite to a group of people that Dan's part of, that I'm also part of, and I'll direct
Darren says he can get them. He said just say the word.
Who?
Says I can get Dan, just say the word.
Yes. Have Dan contact me, Jaron. Okay, Matt, I'll send you a message. So, and we'll be having Charlie on here in next month too. So we have a pretty good lineup, but I have the 11th. Say what, Josh?
You have a great lineup, man. This is all awesome people. I love it.
Yeah, that's cool, huh? Yeah. Who would have thunk?
I know.
Who would have thunk?
Hey guys, I want to get out of here.
Okay,
right,
I got shit to do. I want to listen to your show, not be on it.
Thanks for calling in. Have a great
Later,
one,
brother.
Josh.
Take it easy, Josh.
And check out Josh's channel, Rich Ass Dirt Adventures.
Oh, real quick, can you guys still see me? I don't know.
Yeah.
I have an Instagram now, and we're doing a lot of exciting shit on that. So check that out.
Look for Josh on Instagram.
Yeah, Rad Adventures on Instagram. It's pretty off the hook, and we're like sponsored by hammock companies now, so we got all kinds of fun shit going on.
Oh, hammock company is perfect for LBPA.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah.
Justin, I've talked to Klesh before, and I don't think it will work.
Oh, yeah, he should be on the show. I don't understand why anyone would turn this down. Losers. All right, later.
Well,
later,
see
Josh.
Have a good one, Josh. I know Klesh is pretty busy, and he's traveling abroad right now, I believe. Ronald, yeah, you can. Not tonight. Okay, I was gonna say, keep your infomercial minimal, please.
Not tonight. But I'm ready to call it quits tonight.
Yeah, it's 10:14.
I know.
Dano's had a
Dano's
long
been going,
day.
are we done yet?
Look at my eyes, how red they are. My head's plugged up.
He's not feeling well, but the show must go on.
And the show went on.
And it did. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you, everybody out there. We've had Tim on.
Peace, everybody.
Times.
He's been on.
How about Ray Russo, the Alaskan dude? He hasn't been on in over a year.
He hasn't.
He says, I got nothing new.
That's not true. I heard he's got a monster dredge.
I'm sure Ray has something up his sleeve, and he's a great guy, period. He'd be good.
Yep. But anyways,
I've been talking to Tazzy Adventures about being on, and we're having Sean from Busted Knuckles on in December.
Cool.
That should be a really good show.
I like watching his videos. Busted Knuckles. I like watching his videos.
Carl Fisher. Ooh. Now, how would I get a hold of him? Okay. I will, Jaron. I'll send you a list. I could tell you right now. 11th, 18th, and 25th of December. And the 30th of October. Oh, wait. That might be taken. I'll have to get back on that one. The 30th of October.
It'd be interesting to have Joe Vaughn back on. That would be another good guest.
Oh, yeah, Joe Vaughn and Pulitzer.
Yeah, he was really interesting.
He had a really... Hook, are you still here? He had a really good video on patents and how patents can kill. Worrying too much about patents can kill a company. And you know, Jovan has like a kabillion patents. He has a heckler. What about Shannon Poe? I thought about that, but it's kind of Fismer, Carl Fismer.
Shannon's a hard one to get a hold of.
Shannon's a hard one to get a hold of, and that show would be all political.
Right.
We try not to be political.
We try and avoid religions and politics because it ain't that kind of show, even though politics play a huge part in our lifestyle, from treasure hunting, as you've heard, and prospecting and mining. And eventually one day they're going to say, no, you can't dig in that dump pile. You'll pull out an antique.
Yep.
you know, that we're saving it and cleaning the environment. Gee whiz. Carl Fismer. Elaborate on him a little. He dove the 1715 Fleet treasure ships and worked with Mel Fisher. That'd be cool.
That would be really cool.
On the Anatosha?
Well, it would have to be.
Well, I'm sure.
Well, they've done other ones too. I'm sorry.
But yeah, that'd be cool. Now, do you have a line on him, Bill? I think we should have Bob Drake and Bill Marsh on at the same time.
I'd love to have Bob Drake on.
Good luck with Bob.
Well, okay, you were just talking to me about Robert Ferguson. He's a YouTuber.
We can't even get him to call.
Bob Drake's a YouTuber too. Dennis has been on lots of times. Rich Cooley's been on a couple of times. The Kelly brothers, there's a decent idea, huh?
Well, you could talk to Emily at the show.
I plan on it. We need to tag team her. And I don't mean that way, but I mean...
We will. We'll put in good words with that guy over there. He's a good guy. You need to be on his show.
I'm sure several people will come up and say, hey, Toledo, Just, Dano, and Ed, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. That's right. Run for the hills! LVPA for life! Sorry for non-members. It's top secret.
For some of you out there that know it, let's see if I can do this. Come on. There we go. Let's see if it'll focus on it.
Too much light.
A little too bright.
Yeah, yours is, but I have the exact same thing in my hands.
There we go. There we go. Prospector Joss likes to see that too.
Good night, Don. I've been trying to reach out to Darcy Cooper too, because I think he'd be a great guest.
Ought to try to email Gary Drayton again and see if he's not working and he can get on the show now.
Yeah, he's another one that's under a lot of contracts.
Yeah, but he couldn't get on last time because he's under contract. He apologized,
Right.
said he'd love to be on.
Those doggone contracts.
Yeah,
You never know. Maybe someday we'll sign one, huh?
Yeah, I'd love to have this guy on here. He's got a hell of a bio, let me tell you.
And see what Bill just wrote. Sorry, Lyme disease makes me lose all train of thought in the public eye. Working on it.
Okay.
Bob says he's not an introvert. He's just scared.
You don't have to be, Bob. You can have a picture of your last dime you found at what's that park? The one that all keeps giving, and it's just us. Yeah, a bunch of GPS members. Good night, Charlie, Sandy. Thanks for joining us. Sorry I missed the beginning of your show.
That was just
running late today.
I still haven't seen it to give it to him yet. I haven't.
Yeah.
See if you come this weekend and go prospecting, you can pick that up while you're here, Jesse.
Yeah, I actually do need to go to the club meeting.
Business.
Yeah.
I think Darcy's probably still mining till the snow and ice takes him out of commission. I haven't seen anything from Darcy Cooper in a couple of years.
I haven't seen him do anything in a while.
Too long.
Right.
Way too long. I really enjoyed Darcy's stuff. But now maybe we could get Ron Adams from Run to the Hills Mining to come on sometime and talk about his really good sleuth, the Creek Critter. And yeah, Barber Park. Thanks, Bill.
Actually, he does.
Night, Matt. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll talk. Send me a request on YouTube.
He just put out a video 5 months ago, short one.
Darcy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like the way he opens up all the woodland noises.
Yeah, he does a really good job producing. Really good job producing his stuff. I like his nature with the mix of prospecting and
his gold porn.
Yeah, his gold porn. Yeah, he does, Ray. Very good, really good. He does good.
So actually, he just put out 5 months ago. He put one out. Story of a Gold Miner, 2018. He says a teaser video to my upcoming gold mining documentary film set in northern British Columbia, Canada.
Okay.
A ongoing sampling project about to turn into a small scale gold mine. Release date 2019. So
Wow.
he's doing a full length feature there.
Look forward to it. Look forward to it.
Yeah. So there you go. News on
Yeah. Brian just brought up he's making a documentary, he told me.
Yep, that's what I just read. They got a little right now he just put out, I guess it's a trailer for
Yeah, I'll have to check it up and maybe we could talk him into being on. I am capable to call all of Canada, Mexico, all the North America now on Skype.
Yeah, maybe we could talk him into coming on and
calling us. He can't do Skype, but he can call.
Okay.
Or
call
we
talk
call
about his
him.
new release.
Yeah. No, I can believe that Darcy is not one to sell out to the big corporate networks. We had Dennis Peterson on a few months back, Don.
Yep.
Sure did. Dennis and who was on with them? I forget. And I don't have those papers with me anymore. Maybe.
And Patrick, you're right. I haven't seen anything on Facebook from Dakota Fred either in a while.
No, he's married now, so.
So is Prospector John.
Who?
Prospector John? No. Yeah, John Belcheck.
John Belcheck, but John said once things slows down at his prospecting stand up in Haines, Alaska, or wherever it is, he said he'll be on. He's game. He just needs to wait till his little tourist panning stand and stuff slows down. So this coming winter again.
Yeah, Jared, I've been trying to get him for a while.
Dakota Fred.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been trying to get him. Like every time he does something, I comment on his videos or his Facebook Live, and And I message him on the side. And...
Yeah, I even threw out a little shout saying, "Hey, would love to have you on our show." Blah 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 blah. Goldclaw wasn't it. What's Patrick talking about? Goes from Dakota Fred, not heard from him in some time, to Goldclaw. Huh, Patrick?
I don't know.
What?
It's Patrick.
Oh, Patrick. Old pack mule. Who's not worth it?
I'm sick, Ray. He says, I look beat. I said, no, I'm sick, Ray. Got a cold.
Okay, we were on our way out the door, weren't we?
Yeah.
We were trying, but
we were working.
It never fails. We approach 11 o'clock before anything happens.
Yep. All right, everybody. We've been on now for 2.5 hours. That's probably plenty good enough. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight, taking your valuable time to be with us. Remember, you're part of our family, and we appreciate you joining us each and every week. Jesse, Dano, thank you very much, as always, for being with me on this great night each week. Dano, I hope you feel better. Jesse, have a good time at the Buckeye meeting. I'll be doing a roof on the house. See, my thumb's looking pretty good. See that? See that?
Yeah. As soon as that
Don't forget, we'll be at the Gold Show. Don't forget.
Tender. Yeah, it's tender. Yeah, come by and see us at the Clark County Fairgrounds on the 27th and 28th. Stop by the panning booth or the Dream Map booth. Say hi to us. I guess it'd be the Flash in Your Pants / Dream Map booth.
Right. You got it.
Stop by, see us. Fred Hurt. Jaron was gonna call in. Yeah.
Yeah, right after you, Bob.
Whatever.
He's called in twice now.
And Bob's called in how many times?
0.
Bam.
Yeah.
Big O.
All right, you guys. Let's say good night.
Yeah. Peace, everybody. Have a good evening.
Now go away or I'll taunt you a second time. All right, everybody. Have a great night. May you always have a flash in your pan.
Da-da-da-da-da.
Maybe one day too. We'll be you on the river. Oh, man. Good night, everybody.
Folks.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Dano. Good night, Jeffrey. Good night, Mr. Odak, Bill, Ronald, Bob, Wayne.
Jared, good night. Ryan, good night.
See ya.
Good night. Ta-ta for now.